All right, mob. It is Wednesday morning, and you know what day that is. Rivals. Yes, we have Rivals Part 5. Our next two will be Rivals 6, 7. That's another story. Okay, I'm your host, part of the Killer Bees broadcasting team, the Chad Bullock. And as you know, we have Coach Bo, Brant Feinbaum. First time joining us, the rules are these guys have 5 questions. They will have 2 minutes to answer while the other one is muted. After their 2 minutes is up, they will be muted. And I think Bo understands one rule, that if you unmute yourself, you will lose a point. I do not play with these points. I will take points off, so don't test me. All right? Bo won the coin flip behind the scenes, so he will go first. And also, boys, give us a like. And as always, kind of, let us know what you think with these questions. We want to hear from you guys. This is going to be fun. This is probably the most fun we have all week. Is Rivals. All right, here we go. First question, boys. Targeting. The targeting rule could be changed in a big way. It's often been controversial. I think we can all agree on that. According to multiple people briefed on the discussions, the committee could propose to remove the carryover suspension, part of the punishment for first-time offenders on second-half targeting penalties, leaving in place a 15-yard penalty and ejection. Players flagged for targeting multiple times within the same season could be subject to harsher punishments. The Rules Committee will come up with proposals at its meetings last night and today. Then spend the next month gathering feedback before a final decision in March. So this is coming up pretty quick. So my question to you boys is, 1, do you like the current rule that we have in place? If you do, let me know. If not, give me a rule or an adjustment that you guys would make, to make this better. Because I don't really care for the targeting rule as it is right now. With that being said, Coach Bo, your time starts now.
Yeah, well, like everything else in college football, targeting is broken. I mean, you see time and time again, these hits, many of them are not even, they're not even intentional, and a lot of them are not even that serious. We have to stop the game constantly to go and check to see if there is targeting. Even if a flag is not thrown, we still got to go check and stop and go to make sure that there wasn't targeting on a play. That alone right there tells you that the targeting rule within itself, the way it is in place, is totally broken. However, there needed to be some rule in place because we don't want receivers going across the middle and having guys like Dick the Night Train Lane coming across and clotheslining. And by the way, that was an old school Raiders reference for those of you out there a little bit older. We don't want to see that, but we also don't want to see a guy get kicked out of a game and have to sit out another game because the running back is on the way to the ground and the defender has already committed to making the tackle. And on the way down, while he's in full speed, he hits the player in the helmet. I think there should be varying levels of targeting. And also there should be warnings. Now, however, if there is a malicious intent where there is just a clear, vicious, dirty hit helmet to helmet in the open field like that, yes, there should be penalties. But I definitely don't think there shouldn't be ejections. And the reason there shouldn't be ejections is because of so many of these players, they're playing wide open, they're playing full speed. If they slack up or they half step, then all of a sudden they miss the tackle. There goes the defender, or there goes the back. Too many times we see it where.
All right, you're done. We're going to keep going on this. I'm going to give you 4 points because I love the point you made that it's, some of it's not intentional, and it's not. It's unfortunate. Me, for one, well, since Brant lost his internet, I want to say I don't like if the defender lowers his shoulder first and he's trying to hit a guy because the guy's still high, and then the running back or the receiver drops, and then that's a helmet to helmet. That was not intentional. That should never be called. That needs to be looked at because there's nothing more aggravating than having a defender, try to properly make a tackle, and then the offensive guy goes a little bit lower and he just kind of misses. So to me, that needs to be looked at first and foremost. And I love the fact that we're stopping the games. These games, they try to shorten the games with running clocks. With some of these penalties, you're making up for it with stopping the game every 2 seconds to look at a freaking hit that shouldn't even been looked at. So I gave you a point for that. I got to give you a point for Night Train. I mean, one of the greatest nicknames in football. And then obviously, no ejection. I like that because a lot of time there is no intent on that. So that's a great call on that one. So I'm gonna give you 4 points for that. Brant, what? All right, sir, your time starts now.
So first of all, I think it's very difficult when it comes to targeting, especially to try and change the, I don't know, I guess the benefactors of some and the detriments of some when it comes to punishment for the penalty itself. When we don't even know for sure what it is, it changes every game, and it changes with who does it. It doesn't matter who. If you're, we discussed this last show. If you're a full grown man athlete and you're running at 100%, and somebody starts to fall, and you can't just stop. I mean, it's not possible. So I think there's got to be maybe explanations involved. I think there's got to be, when it comes to video review, I think there's got to be understanding of how athletes' bodies work. I think that is another huge problem. So I think it's very stupid, and I think it's very immature to try and change the implications of a freaking rule that we don't even know 100%. I mean, we don't even know. Targeting could be one thing one day and something different the next. But I do agree for first time offenders. I think it's really stupid to have them, sit out if they do in the second half, the whole first half of the next game. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, Jesus, it's football. Let the kids play. Okay. I mean, he messed up once. Don't sit this kid out. It could be, and obviously it could be a big game. Let's just say they go and play in Alabama next week, and first half of the game we dropped 28 on them in the first half that he could have possibly played in, and maybe made some game changing plays. I think it is a little ridiculous. I don't think the rule should exist, period, because I think Reuben Foster would leave the field in handcuffs if that rule never existed. And I completely agree that it also harnesses, and it doesn't allow the kids to play as all out as they want to. I think there's a lot of times we saw Bray Hubbard this year, guys. Y'all know it watching Bray Hubbard. He could have hit people a little bit harder than he did. But I mean, it's just a fact of you can't get in trouble. You got to worry about the penalty being enforced. And I think it's going to end up being a big problem in the future if they don't figure it out.
All right. All right. I gave you 4 points. I really like the fact you brought up it changes every game because it seems to. I mean, that I think that's frustrating for fans when it's almost so subjective when it really shouldn't be. I mean, it should be a black and white rule. Impossible. And I brought this up while you were away. I do not like when a defender's going in to make a tackle. He gets low and he's doing what he's supposed to do. And then your offensive guy drops and it ends up being the helmet. That should be looked at. That should not be targeting. That's not on the defender. And I do agree it's dumb to sit out the first half of the next game because you're punishing them twice, essentially. And I love the fact that you brought up Reuben Foster because that son of a gun was a freaking monster. So Bo got 4 for his first. You got 4 for your first. All right. Let's go down to number 2. We'll just keep this rolling. Alabama's future star. When North Carolina State transfer Hollywood Smothers left Alabama at the altar and flipped to Texas, pretty much guaranteed Crowell from Jackson High School was going to get an audition. Yes, Daniel Hill will have a say-so in that rushing attack, but the incoming Jackson, Alabama native, Crowell, is a weapon. 5'11", 205 pounds, Crowell's an ideal size for an every down back, and he was the nation's top-ranked running back for a reason. He's got the vision, the burst, and second-level speed necessary to start right away. Now, with that being said, saying he's ready to start away and him being ready to start right away is going to probably depend on whether he can pick up a blitz or not. So, Bo, what are your expectations for Crowell this fall?
Well, not much right away. He's going to have a role right away. He will play day one. But you kind of stole some of my thunder there because there is so much more to being a running back than just run the ball. I mentioned on the last show about listening to Sparky Woods at a coaching conference. and he said that he listed all these intangibles that backs must have: blocking assignments, picking up the blitz, taking care of the football, running the right plays, making the right shifts and adjustments. And one of the last things that he mentioned was actually carrying the football. We know he's got talent, ideal size, like you said, 5'11", 205. He's got an SEC body already. The crazy part is he should only be a junior in high school this year, but he reclassified. So Crowell right away, that's the hardest part backs have to understand, because when you're in high school and you're that dominant, it's just get the ball and go. Get the ball and go. Derrick Henry said it best. He said Saban was screaming at him one time about picking up some kind of picking up the blitz or something. He said, "Coach, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. In high school, they just told me to get the ball and run." So I'm sure there's a lot of that, and there's going to be a learning curve. But watch for him and his explosiveness, especially in the second half of the season, as he begins to pick up some of those assignments and pick up some of those roles and increase his role within that Alabama offense, because he is, in my opinion, and I have seen him in person, and granted it was high school, but I am telling you, he is absolutely as advertised. There is no false advertisement there. He's everything that he is claiming to be, and he is going to be a star for Alabama. And the question is not when is he going to get on the field. It's what will his role be right away, and how long is it going to take him to take over that top spot? Because what Hill is going to end up being, I'm telling you, Hill's going to end up being the short yardage, O-line type back. And then eventually Crowell is going to be the every down back, because he can catch the ball. He's explosive. He can run between.
All right, got him. So I gave you 4 for that one. I like the fact you think he's going to play day one. I also do picking up the blitz. And I think as he gets better, he will start to play in the second half, and it'll be not if but when for him. What is your expectations for Crowell in the fall? Brant, your time starts now.
Wise, I think it's kind of figuring out where you fit in. I mean, I don't believe he'll start over Daniel Hill. I think Daniel Hill kind of solidified himself as the starting back. Obviously, everything's up for grabs. But this is my big thing about EJ, and especially watching his highlights, and I mean, knowing the part of the state he comes from. That's some hard-nosed football those kids play, man. And it's helmet to helmet every day. It's ones-on-ones in practice. There's not a lot of lollygagging going on, man. And I think he is going to be exactly as advertised. I think he is going to be great. I think he's going to be a hard-nosed guy, and I think he's going to do what I expect him to do, which is my biggest complaint about some running backs we've had in recent years, which is they kind of just dance around and look for a hole, can't bounce it out. The outside linebackers crash in, we get no yards. I think he's just going to get the ball and go, and that's exactly what I want. I need somebody that's going to, if we're going to have 3rd and 1, we're going to put the ball in his hands, and we don't even have to worry about it. We know he's getting the yard. So I think in that sense, he'll be pretty well. I haven't really seen much on the receiving end. When I watched his highlights, I feel like I didn't see him much as a receiving back. Now, granted, he can obviously be, have great hands. I don't really know when it comes to that part of his game, but he really reminds me of a Jam Miller. I think that's a really good comparison, and obviously, hopefully, he didn't have the injury issues that Jam had. But I think EJ I think he's going to come in. I definitely think he's going to play day one. I don't think it's going to be necessary if he plays. I think he's playing. I just think it's where he'll fit in, kind of in the running back set. I think it would be dirty to have a little pistol formation with him and Daniel Hill in there. I think that would be a really good formation to have. I think you can do a lot out of it because they're both big enough to block for each other, but they're also both big enough to get after it. But I will say, as far as EJ goes, I think he's going to come in and really change the dynamic of how Alabama runs the football this year. I really believe it's coming back, and I can't wait. And I hope it does, and I hope it flourishes.
All right. Made good points. I love the fact it's just where he fits in. I love the fact you brought up Jackson High School's competition because that will help him at Alabama. They do play some good teams. I like the fact you brought up he's the kind of guy that's going to kind of get the ball and go. And I also like the fact that with the pistol with him and Hill. That's a great point too. So 4 there. So we got an 8-8 game right now. This always a good one. All right. So Bo, you'll go first on this one. We got 2 freshman SEC quarterbacks to watch in the 2026 spring games. Redshirt freshman George McIntyre has a season under his belt in Knoxville and plenty of potential. But a 5-star signal caller Faison Brandon is on campus and ready to compete too. I want you to talk about that competition and I may give y'all a little bit extra time to do this. And Georgia, for essentially the entirety of the recruiting cycle, Jared Curtis either was heavily considered or committed to the Georgia Bulldogs. Then at the end, he decided to stay at his Nashville home and play for the Commodores, succeeding Diego Pavia for a resurgent program that Karkley is building. Curtis is a thick kid who has the physicality to play right away in the SEC. He may not have pizzazz, but his rival Brandon in Knoxville, but Curtis is the higher rated player oozing with talent. So I guess this is not a Georgia question. So between Tennessee and Vanderbilt, whose quarterback do you like more? Bo? Your time starts now.
Okay, well, first of all, I like I like the fact McIntyre's been there a year. He's already been through a full season. He's been through all the workouts. He probably has a better grasp of the offensive playbook. Not only that, but the speed of the game. Big change going from high school football to SEC football. However, I have heard this Faison kid is basically another version of Hendon Hooker, but better. Some of the stuff I've read about him. And if that is true, he may end up winning that job outright. Now, we know that the track record of freshmen starting in major college football is not good. Tennessee, with Jim Knowles as their defensive coordinator and the offensive acumen of Josh Heupel, they're going to be in contention. They're going to be, and even though they went 8-4 last year, I mean, all 4 losses were to all four teams that all had 10 wins. So, and then they were competitive in all those games. So, Tennessee has the talent. They're pretty close. Jim Knowles is going to help them improve 4 to 7 points at least. Is going to help that defense. So, I guess your question is, do you go with the high upside or do you go with the guy that probably is a little bit more polished in that offense? Only time will tell. I hope for our sake as Alabama fans, they make the wrong choice. Curtis, on the other hand, he will be your star. Unlike Crowell, he will be your starter day one, hands down, no question asked. We have seen true freshmen struggle in major college football, but Vanderbilt, to me, they're not going to worry about it. They're just going to take their lumps this year. They're losing a lot of players to the NFL draft. They're losing their starting quarterback. It's kind of a rebuilding year. So for Vanderbilt, I would say Curtis and Curtis only. Curtis is going to be the guy, and they're going to give him the entire year to get it figured out. Tennessee, on the other hand, I think McIntyre starts, but he may have a very short leash. If Faison is indeed as talented and has the upside of some of the things I've heard come out of Knoxville.
All righty. Let me mute you. All right. I like your point about McIntyre. Been there, done that. So he has a little bit more than Faison. Compared him to Hooker. Fair comparison. Curtis, different situation. Vanderbilt's not Tennessee. Vanderbilt's like the 88, 89 Braves. You're going to let your pitchers or your quarterback coming in to take the whole year to get better. And I like the fact that you said if it is McIntyre, he'll be on a short leash. So it'll be Cinco de Puentes. Brant, I'm going to give you got 2.5 minutes. Start now.
So I think the main thing is, for Tennessee fans and for SEC fans alike, Tennessee's not going anywhere. I mean, Jim Knowles and Josh Heupel they're going to be just fine in Knoxville with that team they got. I mean, they're always going to have talent. They're always going to have people that can step up and play the game correctly. And regardless of who it is, whether it's Faison or whatever his name is, just lost his name. Whatever.
McIntyre,
him or Faison, doesn't matter. They're going to play the game of football the right way, and they're definitely going to play it the Josh Heupel way, which is a lot of throwing the ball, a lot of yards, a lot of mix up, a lot of receivers coming off the edge. It's going to be high flying, man, and I think that's going to be a big thing for them down in Knoxville. as far as Jared Curtis goes, and I really want to relay this message as much as I can. I mean, I feel like none of us here were big Diego Pavia guys. Not so much on his talent, just kind of how he acted. Obviously, he was a damn good player, and he really turned Vanderbilt around. But I really want to give him the credit for Jared Curtis flipping his commitment to kind of stay in Nashville. I really think Diego Pavia and Clark Lee played a huge, huge part in the fact that he stayed in Nashville. I think people are starting to realize that, guys. I mean, Nashville is a big NIL city. That is not a city where no money goes. So I think if Vanderbilt gets on their horse and they start getting the NIL money right and they start recruiting right out of high school, man, I think Vanderbilt can be a really, really dangerous program. And I think the flipping of Jared Curtis was a complete step in the right direction. And I can definitely see him starting, day one, obviously. I think the most difficult part about starting in the SEC, not only is the talent, but is also the talent that you have around you. And I think when you're at Vanderbilt, obviously this is changing, with time, but I feel like that is not the best place to start. If you're going to be a true freshman coming in, you're probably not going to have the talent around you that you would at a Tennessee or at an Alabama or an LSU. So you're really going to have to take your hits, man. You're going to have to learn. I mean, watching his tape, I mean, I think Jared Curtis is definitely more than equipped enough to be able to handle the problems, but also kind of flourish and succeed in that role he has up there in Nashville. And I think Vanderbilt in 2 or 3 years is going to be just another dangerous team that we're going to have to worry about. And I don't know if y'all are looking around recently, guys. The SEC is getting a lot of dangerous teams, and it's going to be real difficult to make the playoff, going forward. So hopefully we can strap it in and get ready because they're coming for us.
All right. All right. I liked your point about the Tennessee quarterbacks and Heupel ball. As long as you're at least average, you should still fill up your stat sheet there. So that's a great point. Curtis, him staying home and thinking he can handle it. That's not a bad point. I mean, time will tell. You brought up a great point that Nashville is an NIL city now. Lots of stuff there. And I also like the point that you brought up about, most times 99 times out of 100, you're going to start off with less talent in Vanderbilt. So that was a great point there. So at the end of 3, we got 13-13. And now we get to have a little fun. Now, here's where all the hate's going to come. These are my favorite 2 questions. And Brant's going to go first on this. This is going to be fun, boys. Question number 4. Most overrated stadium to play in each of the Power 4 conferences. Brant, I will let you get the hate mail first. You've got 2 minutes. And pay attention, fans. You've got 2 minutes starting now.
So, all right, I'll start out with the SEC. I think your most overrated place you got to play in the SEC. And when I'm saying overrated, I'm not saying that they can't win at home. I'm just saying that nobody's really scared to go there and play anymore. And I got to go with the Swamp down in Gainesville. But I think John Summerall was working on turning that around. But I mean, I got to say the Swamp in the last 3 or 4 years, nobody's been scared to go there and play Florida. And I think it kind of shows in their record. Nobody's afraid to walk into the Swamp and kind of punch the Gators in the mouth and get out. For the Big Ten, here we go. For the Big Ten, I'm going to go with USC. I think the Coliseum has definitely become a lot more overrated over the last couple of years. Not that Lincoln Riley hadn't done what he's supposed to. I just think that nobody's scared to go to the Coliseum anymore. USC is definitely they don't have Reggie Bush anymore. There's nobody there that they feel like is really just going to outplay them. 24/7 every time they go. The fifth man's kind of left the Coliseum. So that's my pick for the Big Ten. For the Big 12, I'm going to go with UCF. And I'm going with UCF because ever since they hung that big national championship banner in 2018, I feel like, it's never really been the same down there in Orlando. So I think I'm going to have to go with UCF there. For the ACC, I got to go with Virginia Tech, man. Enter Sandman is just not getting it done. And obviously they bring in James Franklin to try and turn that around. But man, I just feel that, walking to Virginia Tech is more fun than it is bad. I think the away team gets more fun out of Enter Sandman than anybody else because they know that they're just going to walk into Lane Stadium and beat them by 45 points. I think Virginia Tech's kind of been on the receiving end of a lot of bad games recently. So that's kind of why I had to pick them in the ACC.
I'll give you 3 on that. I just, the Virginia Tech one gets me. I don't know. I like it. I think that's a great, great atmosphere. I'll give you the Swamp. I think Swamp is excellent for the SEC. Big Ten, I can't believe you didn't say Ohio State. I mean, I ought to give you -1 for that, but I do like the Coliseum. I do agree with you on that. And the fact that you brought up USC and that, UCF and that bogus national championship banner that they hung several years ago, I love it for that. So 3 there. All right, Bo, your time starts now.
All right, Chad, is it most overrated or like least intimidating type environments?
I said the question is overrated. The
Okay.
question is overrated.
All right, number one for the SEC, I'm going to start with SEC. I'm going to say Mississippi State. I know they ring those damn cowbells all night, but nobody's scared to go in there in front of 52,000 people and play one of the lowest budget teams in the conference. They can ring those cowbells till the cows come home. I don't think anybody's scared of them. Big Ten, got to be UCLA. They can't get 14 people to come to a game. I mean, I know they had a big win out there this year. They beat Penn State. They caught them at exactly the right time, but they still doesn't change the fact they only won 4 games. The ACC, I'm going with the Kansas Jayhawks. I love what Lance Leipold has done at Kansas, but that's not exactly an intimidating place to play in the Big 12. And then as far as the ACC, I'm going to say the Cal Bears. Berserkly just isn't what it used to be, probably because they haven't been very good really since Marshawn Lynch and Aaron Rodgers left there. So those are my most overrated places to play in those 4 respective conferences.
Okay. You did say ACC was Kansas to start off with, did you not?
I'm Big 12. Did I say ACC?
I think you did say ACC.
Big 12. I know you looked at me kind of funny. Kansas, Big 12, ACC, Cal.
Okay. All right. Let me mute you because I gotta take issue with one of them. All right, mute. Dang it. All right. Look, Mississippi State. That's one of the worst programs. Nobody's scared of Mississippi State. That's one of the worst programs in the SEC. That's never been an intimidating place. No. Your time's up. UCLA. Yeah, I mean the Rose Bowl. I mean, come on. That's you've got to at least draw 15 people there. 14 will not do it. I'll give you that. ACC with Cal. I don't even know where Cal play. I know it's Berkeley, and I know they have that. Big 12 with Kansas. Do they even play football here? That's 2 on that one. So what do we got here? We got 15 to 16 to 15. All right. Let's see if we can nail down back to back for old Brant Feinbaum. Now we're going to do the most underrated in each of the 4 power conferences. Bo, I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself on this. Sir, your time starts now.
Okay, I'm going to go again. I'll start with the SEC, and I think one of the most underrated places to play in the SEC is Missouri. They always seem to play well there in Columbia, and rarely do they hardly ever get blown out. I mean, most of their games are tough, and I would say like a 1B would be a night game at South Carolina at Williams-Brice. That South Carolina fan base at night, especially at night, is excellent. The Big Ten, I think one of the sneakiest venues to play a noon kickoff, a big noon kickoff at Northwestern. I think that is one of the tougher venues. They always find themselves in a rock fight, seemingly when Northwestern plays those noon games. All right, the Big 12, I think one of the best venues there is the Utah Utes. Of course, Kyle Whittingham's not there anymore, but that Rice Eccles gets rocking, especially at night. You got the elevation. It gets cold. You get a lot of teams in there in the past, especially when they were in the Pac-12, not used to the cold weather. They get up in the mountains and the elevation, and they just would go in there and just get ransacked. And one of the better teams in the ACC, I am going to say the Louisville Cardinals. Okay, when they're at home, when they're at home, and Jeff Brom has a good quarterback, which he usually does because he's a quarterback guru. It's hard to go into Louisville and beat him because they're always so well coached and well prepared, and that's a good home venue in the ACC.
Okay. I will give you 3 out of the 4. I can understand Missouri. I get Louisville, and I love the Utah pick. But for the life of me, in no world or universe can I get Northwestern. There is in no universe where a big noon kickoff. I almost thought you were joking when you said big noon kickoff. Here we go, Northwestern. I cannot do no, but 3 of the 4. But I really do love the Utah pick. The Utah pick is very good. I love watching games in Utah. So bravo on that one. All right, Mr. Feinbaum, if you give me 3 good ones, you're the winner.
So this one was pretty tough for me. I'm gonna say the Big Ten first. I had a really tough time trying to pick between Washington because Washington fans really sell out that place in Seattle. I've actually really grown shocked at how big of a college football city Seattle has come. Around Washington, especially when Kalen was there, it felt like they were packed out every single game. But it was pretty hard for me to pick between them and I mean, obviously everybody wants to talk about Michigan and Ohio State. But Iowa tears it up every game. I mean, every single game, I feel like that place is packed out to the max, and they never score over 24 points. So that's pretty impressive. Big 12 pick, I picked BYU. I went against Bo, one of his Holy War counterpart. Those people up there in Provo, man, they can't get enough of. There's 2 things they can't get enough of: soaking or football. Those are the 2 big things for them, and they love them some football. So I think when as BYU has really started to increase productivity in football in recent years, man, I just feel like that place is really starting to become a football city. For the ACC, I was going to go with Louisville until somebody took it. So now I will. I guess I'll kind of counteract here. I don't know, man. It's tough. I feel like everybody when it comes to ACC. I don't know, man. That's Duke. Maybe I think they lost like 3 games in 2 years at home. Duke has been pretty impressive at home as well. So when it comes to underratedness, we're talking about underrated here, Chad. I'm just saying, not a lot of people going to Duke and win. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But for SEC, I feel like there's only really one opinion that we're going to have. Obviously, as Alabama fans, it's got to be Auburn. Man, people really shit on that place that aren't in the SEC because they don't have to go play there every year. But I don't care if Auburn is, 9-3 or 5-6 or 3-8. I mean, Auburn is a dangerous place to walk into. And I mean, they're always going to be loud. They're always going to sell that place out. Their talent on the field might not show it, but I'm telling you right now, if you let Auburn hang around, they will beat you every single time. So it's a dangerous team to be around. And I mean, that's got to be my pick in the SEC. I do like both South Carolina take because South Carolina can get crazy. But I just think, I think when you talk about Auburn, man, it's tough we know it as well. It's tough to walk in there and win every time.
All right. Let me mute you. Iowa, I love the pick. BYU, I can dig the pick. I'm sorry, Duke. That's the Northwestern. I cannot get behind that. And really the tiebreaker here is going to be Auburn because I feel like Auburn's so underrated. It's a great atmosphere. And you're right. It doesn't matter if they're 1-10 or 10-1. That fan base shows up and they show out every home game. I wish Alabama fans were like that, as raucous as Auburn gets. And I'm an Alabama fan. You'll never probably hear me say that. So, without further ado, Brant, what you got?
Nothing tonight, gentlemen. Nothing tonight. Stay hydrated. Drink some water.
Wow. Well, that was anticlimactic. All right, Bo. As runner-up, you
my
go right ahead.
Well, my other one in the Big Ten, see, and that was the point I was making about being underrated, that I really like Northwestern's coaching staff. I don't think their talent is as good as their coaching staff. And they always seem, especially when they play at home, there's just something about every year that, like an Ohio State or a Michigan State when they were really good, I mean, they would come in there and it would just be a dogfight. Almost kind of like what you're saying about Auburn. Maybe the talent doesn't match the way they play, but at home, when they get off 14 to 15,000 people in their stadium, those smart guys get after it. But the other one I was going to say was going to be Penn State during a whiteout. Everybody makes such a big deal about the Penn State and the whiteout. They're like 500 since they started doing the whiteout. I think that's kind of an overrated thing, but
Yeah.
That's
I
actually a
also
good
think
one.
too, a lot of the overrated, underrated matchups would depend on who's coming to town and what the circumstances are. So I mean, like if you you take any of them and the rival comes to town, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty loud, raucous, but they play, say Arizona State plays Kansas and neither one of them are worth a flip, then you probably have maybe a 2/3 full stadium. So
Yeah. Well, hey, don't forget about West Virginia and the Big 12 either. They can get pretty wild up there in West Virginia.
Well, Rich Rod back in Morgantown, they're going to be, and just because you brought them up, I think they are going to be the most improved team this year in the Big 12, and the team that I think challenges Texas Tech, because remember Texas Tech lost that entire front seven; they're gone. I mean, I know they went and spent a bunch of money, and everybody's all excited about them getting a quarterback that went 6-6 at Cincinnati, and that's fine. But they paid the guy $5 million. He went 6-6. Well, he played at Cincinnati. Well, if he's that good, they would have won more games. It's not like they played a combination of SEC Big Ten schedule. I mean, my goodness. But
Yeah.
I mean, a team I really like in the Big 12 this year is Houston with Willie Fritz. He's a heck of a football coach. Connor Wigman's coming back. They got most of their team back. They're going to be that could be a sleeper in that conference. So,
And hey,
just some food for thought there.
Do you know what stores were like really making money back when Rich Rodriguez was there? Was the sofa stores, because they would burn sofas every time they won a game. At West Virginia, that's what they would take sofas out and burn them.
Wow.
So yeah,
they burned a bunch of them in 2007.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
they screwed up against Pitt.
Yeah, so back in that time, if you had a furniture store, you was making bank because you was selling them sofas.
Oh, Rich
every
Rod,
week.
The economy.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, boys. Well, that'll do it, Mob. Let us know. Hey, if if I messed up on the Northwestern, let us know in the comments section. Give us a like. I'm sorry, I just don't see Northwestern as being underrated.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Is I think a lot of teams, because they're not that talented, and you go in there on 11 o'clock and maybe you got some squirrely weather, and they hadn't cut the grass all week, and I mean it's just weird stuff happens there, man.
I mean, I don't even know what part of Indiana Evanston's in, so let me know in the comments. Well, Evanston, yeah. Well, yeah. What I say, Indiana, Illinois.
Well, hey, don't worry. The Chicago Bears are going to be there next year, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. So it's all confusing. It's all confusing up there in the north. Chicago's in Indiana, and all this. I mean, I don't know. All right. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Rivals. For Brant Feinbaum and Coach Bo, I'm Nee Chad saying we will see you next time.